Hello, my name's Tiffany. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I know I've been providing you guys with weekly workouts, but today I just wanted to chat about some tips for how to maintain your fitness during quarantine. The main reason we're doing this is because I'm recording this on Tuesday, and yesterday, which was Monday, I did a Murph, which if you haven't heard of that workout before, it's a CrossFit WOD, and it's pretty intense. It's a 1 mile run followed by 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and then 300 squats. And then at the end, you add on another 1 mile run. You're actually supposed to complete it with a 20-pound weight vest on. I skipped that part. And I also modified the pull-ups by using a band because your girl's not doing 100 pull-ups. So we're pretty sore from that. I also rolled my ankle a little bit. So we're not doing a workout today. Recovery is important. But I wanted to talk about some things I've been doing during quarantine that have really helped me to stay on track. So we're going to talk about some mindset shifts, your workouts, and also your nutrition. So first, with mindset, the main thing I want you to do is get rid of your all or nothing attitude. So if you're the type of person who either goes to the gym 6 days a week or 0 days a week, or if you had pizza for lunch, that means you have an ice cream for dinner. If you feel like you can't get back on track once you've screwed up, I need you to get rid of that attitude. It's not going to cut it during quarantine. We're at home. A lot of things have changed. Gyms are closed. We can still get in those at-home workouts, but they're not going to look perfect. They're not going to look exactly like what you're used to. So, you know, it's okay. If you end up having cake for breakfast one day, you don't want that to mean that you're having pizza for lunch, burgers and fries for dinner. You can still have some of those things and enjoy them, but just because you have pizza for lunch doesn't mean that you can't have a nice healthy salad for dinner or some chicken and rice, whatever floats your boat. One thing I want to talk about as far as a mindset shift is really having goals for your workouts. So when you go to the gym, you might be able to just show up at the gym, throw together a workout, be totally fine, get in a really good solid workout, show up day after day, do that, get awesome results. At home, it's a little bit different. If you don't go into your workout with a goal, you're going to be extremely tempted to quit your workout halfway through, and we don't want that to happen. It's just a lot easier to leave your workout when your couch is right next to you than when you've already driven yourself to the gym, you've committed to that, you've sat in your car, you've drove yourself to the gym, you've changed your clothes, you've taken your pre-workout. It's a lot harder to drive home from that after 10 minutes than if you're at home doing a workout on your living room floor. So I want you to come up with a goal for your workout. So if you're working on your core, say, maybe your goal over the course of this quarantine is to increase the time of your plank. So right now you can only do a plank for 1 minute. By the end of quarantine, you want to be able to hold that plank with good form for 2 minutes. Now you have a goal that you can slowly build towards, and your workout should reflect that goal. Or if right now you can only do a push-up or two, a great goal for you might be to be able to do 10 push-ups by the end of this quarantine. And your workouts are going to reflect that, and you're slowly going to build up your push-ups over time. So whatever that goal might be, it doesn't have to be a certain number of reps or a certain time goal or anything like that. Be creative. Think about what you really want out of your fitness, and your goals should reflect that. So coming up with a goal is a really great shift for you to make during this quarantine. Now, as far as exercise, I know a lot of people are working with varying levels of equipment, and the fact is that you can make progress with all of it. Obviously, it's ideal if you have, barbell weights, dumbbells, whatever it is to get your workout going. But if all you've got is your body weight, you can still get in a damn good workout. Some of the best exercises out there are body weight exercises, especially for your lower body. If you can do squats, lunges, step-ups, different variations of those, you're going to be in a really good spot. And there's variations of those exercises that you can make more difficult over time. So if you're working on squats and you get to the point where you can do like 30 squats in a row, well, that's awesome. And you're probably not going to want to keep doing squats until you can do 100 in a row. No one has time for that. It gets old really fast. So what you can do instead of that is you can try to progress to a pistol squat. So instead of doing a squat with both legs on the ground, you pick one up off the ground. That's going to make that exercise a hell of a lot harder. Single leg or single leg movements are also going to make your workouts harder. So a lunge is going to be harder than a squat. A step up is also going to be a more difficult exercise. Things where you're relying on one leg more than the other. And as far as upper body movements, push-ups are awesome. If you can't do a push-up yet, a great variation is to either do them on the floor, or my preferred variation is to do an incline push-up. So you start off with your arms elevated on something like a bench or a chair, and you slowly work your way to the ground. So you don't have to go straight from doing a push-up against the wall to the ground. You can go off of your counter at first. Maybe you have a high countertop you can do a push-up against. Once that gets easy, you can progress yourself down to a chair. Once that gets easy, maybe you stack a few books on top of each other, make sure they're secure against a wall, and do push-ups on top of those. And once that gets old, you start doing push-ups on the ground, and you can slowly progress yourself and see results over time that way. If you're already a beast at push-ups, instead of doing that, you can start off with your regular push-ups, and you can progress to more difficult variations. So you can try to work towards one-arm push-ups. You can try to work on different push-up variations like tricep push-ups. You can work on wide push-ups. You can switch it up, give yourself lots of variety. The other thing is that any household object is weight. You know, like, you don't have to use dumbbells or barbells to make an exercise more difficult. You can pick up your backpack, you can pick up laundry detergent. I have some workouts on my Instagram actually where I use laundry detergent and I use backpacks as weight, and I can tell you that those workouts are pretty damn difficult. So I'll link those down below. But you know, just things around your house can make awesome weight. You can use books, you can use backpacks, anything with a handle makes great weight. And if you're looking to buy some equipment, which you absolutely don't have to do, but if that's something you're interested in at this point, I know some states are starting to get out of their quarantine, so you might be asking yourself, why am I making this video now, 2.5 months into quarantine? Well, I live in Boston. I'm currently staying in New York, and Massachusetts and New York are two states that I think are going to be in quarantine for a while. I'm not going back to the gym for a while, and if you're in that situation, you might want to invest in a little bit of at-home equipment. And the great thing about some of these things is they're tools that you can bring with you when you do go back to the gym. So my top recommendations for that would be just some bands. So get yourself a glute band, the kind that wraps around right in front of your knees, or right above your knees rather. Get yourself a solid high quality one. My favorite one is the Brett Contreras band. This isn't sponsored or anything, but I just love those bands. They provide a lot of resistance and they just make your workouts super difficult. In the gym I have, we don't have one of those abduction machines, and so those Brett Contreras bands are a really great substitute for that machine because they are so heavyweight. Mark Bell also sells really awesome bands. I'll link both of those bands down below. And you also want to get yourself a longer band. So you can get yourself the kind that's like a long loop that people use for pull-up assistance, and you can do a ton of different exercises with those bands. It doesn't just have to be pull-ups. And the kind with handles, so the kind that's like a long band with handles on the edge, those are also really awesome for all sorts of exercises, and they're super lightweight, super cheap, very convenient, and you can also use them when this is all over and we're finally able to travel again. You can bring your bands with you. So bands are an awesome tool. Obviously they're not going to create as much muscle damage, they're not going to be as difficult as deadlifting 500 pounds, but you're going to be able to maintain your muscle and maybe even build some muscle depending on how effectively you train. So that's the top equipment I would recommend. Just get yourself some bands. The other thing, if you want to invest on the next level here, get yourself a couple of dumbbells. If you can find the adjustable ones, that's great, because you know, then you can take weight on and off. You can go in really tiny increments so that you don't have to be, you know, if you buy a 15-pound weight, you're stuck with the 15 pounds. If you buy the adjustable ones, that one weight can be 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds. So try to find adjustable weights. If you can't find those, pick weights that you think will be really versatile for you. So think about the weights that you gravitate towards the most when you do upper body exercises and lower body exercises. So you might say to yourself, well, for upper body, I know that I use 10-pound weights for my bicep curls and my lateral raises and my tricep extensions overhead. Great, get yourself some 10-pound weights. Pick weights that you think will be challenging for your lower body. So that might look more like 30, 40, or 50 pounds, depending on what level you're at. So just kind of gauge accordingly. You'll probably want at least 2 or 3 sets. If all you can get is one, that's also going to be super helpful. Anything you can get is going to be better than nothing. But again, again, if you can't afford or you don't want or you can't find any in stock, household objects are almost as good. The other thing I'd recommend, if you're really looking to kind of build up a home gym for yourself without actually building a home gym, is a TRX. So a TRX is awesome because it allows you to leverage your body weight in different ways. So body weight training is great, but there's certain muscle groups that are harder to hit with body weight training. Like, it's really hard to get in a good back workout with body weight training because you want to be pulling something up when you're training your back, and it's hard to do that with just your body weight. So a TRX is awesome for that. You can do body weight rows, you can do bicep curls on there, you can do really awesome tricep extensions. There's just a ton of exercises, and they also provide assistance for some exercises. So one thing I've been loving doing with my TRX is doing pistol squats. So pistol squats require a lot of balance. You're on one leg, but if you're holding onto a TRX, it's so much easier, and it provides that middle ground between a regular squat and a full-on pistol squat. So they're really awesome for making exercises easier or harder, and just letting you use your body weight in different ways. So that's a little bit more expensive. I'll put a link down below, but if that is something you're interested in, it's an awesome tool and I would highly recommend. So those are pretty much the 3 things I'd recommend as far as home equipment. If there's one thing you're gonna get, I'd say go for the bands. They're super versatile. You can take them anywhere, and you can do a ton with them. Second would be a set of dumbbells, and third would be a TRX. You really don't need anything else, and to be honest, you don't even need those things. They'll make your at-home workouts, they'll give them a little more variety, and you'll get a little bit more out of them, but it's not like you can't do a ton with body weight. If you are looking for some body weight workouts or something to do with household objects or any of the tools I just mentioned, you can check out my Instagram or some of the videos that I've done on YouTube. So those are pretty much my tips for your at-home workout. The other thing I'd say is if you're working with limited equipment, you're gonna wanna increase the amount of times you work out per week. You don't have to do this, and if you're super stressed at home, you don't have to take your workouts from 3 or 4 times a week up to 7. That's not necessary. But if you are looking to kind of maintain where you are, and you're doing these body weight movements, they do create less muscle damage, so you're probably not going to be crazy sore after a body weight workout, which means that you can work out the next day and you can build more muscle more easily that way. So where you might have had a split routine before, where maybe you did legs one day, push another day, pull another day, I found the most success with my at-home workouts doing full body workouts and doing them more frequently than I used to. So maybe not every day, but I'm doing full body workouts maybe 5 times a week. You absolutely don't have to do that, but that's just what's been working for me during this quarantine. I've been splitting up my workouts sometimes, and we do actually have a home gym here. We got it more recently. But in the beginning, what I was doing was those full body workouts, or sometimes I would split it up into an upper lower split, just a little more frequently than I was doing at the gym. And then the next thing I want to talk about is your nutrition. So I know it can be really difficult during this quarantine to keep on track with your nutrition. You might have been used to, meal prepping for work or school or wherever you were going. You weren't in front of your refrigerator all day. And so it's difficult now that we're home all of the time to stay on top of our nutrition. So one thing I'd recommend is try to keep as much as possible the same as before we went on quarantine. So if before quarantine you were meal prepping on Sunday, and you can still meal prep on Sunday, like nothing's gotten in your way, keep meal prepping on Sunday. It might feel a little silly when you're home all week to have that meal prep time slot, but it's gonna help you stay on track if more things are the same in your schedule than less. So try to meal prep if that's something you were doing before, or if you had set out your lunch the night before quarantine, keep doing that. Whatever routine you had going, keep that going. And whatever meals you had going, try to keep those the same. I know it's tempting to switch things up since you have access to more things at home. And if you want to do some of it, that's fine. If you want to cook yourself a gourmet lunch because you're home for lunch, that's totally fine. But if you found that your nutrition is falling off a little bit and you're not super happy with where you are, the best thing you can do is establish a routine for yourself that works for you and that you feel good about. The second thing I'd recommend, because for myself and I think for a lot of people, we have trouble getting in enough protein and enough veggies. So one thing I found to be really useful for getting in enough protein is making sure that I have a high protein breakfast. So that's not to say that you can't have pancakes for breakfast once in a while, but something I found useful is I'll eat something like yogurt or eggs for breakfast, and I know that I'm knocking out like 25 or maybe 30 grams of protein depending on the serving during breakfast time. And that's huge, because if you're eating like, you know, 100 calorie whatever for breakfast with 1 gram of protein in it, you're setting your day off to a bad start. And the other thing is that if you don't have enough protein with breakfast, and then you know, a pizza party happens for dinner or whatever, and you've kind of lost all will to manage your nutrition by that point, then you've probably not gotten in, maybe you got in 30 grams of protein for the entire day. Where if you, breakfast is usually the meal that we have the most control over. So if you can take that meal and you can make the most out of it and you can get your protein in, and then something ends up happening by dinner time, your day's gotten ahead of you, you don't have time to prepare your food, and you ate ice cream for dinner, at least you got in that solid, high protein, quality meal during breakfast. And if you can get some veggies in during that meal too, that's awesome. And the other thing I'd say about veggies is a lot of people think it has to be a big production getting your vegetables in, or you know, roast some Brussels sprouts or asparagus or whatever on the side, you let them cook for a ton of time before eating them. It really doesn't have to be that complicated. If you've been struggling to get your veggies in, seriously, just toss some spinach on top of whatever you're eating. It doesn't have to be a whole big thing. It doesn't have to be something that you cook for hours. Just sprinkle whatever vegetables you like on top of whatever food you're eating. And make sure it's something you like. If you're really picky, that might limit you to a vegetable or two. Try new things if you can. But if there's a few vegetables that you gravitate towards, don't force yourself to eat something that you hate, especially right now, because you're just not going to do it, especially when you got all those fun treats in the freezer. Pick vegetables that you like, prepare them in advance if you can, and sprinkle them on top of whatever meal you have going on. Don't make it a complicated production, just make it a priority to get in those two things, your protein and your veggies. You're gonna find yourself feeling so much more satiated, you're gonna find yourself feeling so much better about the meals that you're eating, you're gonna have so much more energy. So it might be a struggle at first, but building those things into your routine is really gonna set you up for success in the long run. And I could go on and on about the things that I've been doing during quarantine, but those really are the top tips and the things that have been keeping me accountable, keeping me on track. If you do have any questions or you want to share anything that you've been doing during quarantine, drop it down below in the comments, or you can always shoot me an email, send me a DM on Instagram, whatever works. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up so I know to keep creating content like this. I'm so glad you joined me today, and I'll have new videos out every Wednesday. So make sure you're subscribed, and have a great day.